Do you want to have your own private VPN server completely hosted by you? You control the logs, you control the locations, and you control the performance. And also you can have as many clients use it as you want. Today we have another self-hosted project. Today we're going to be hosting our own open source VPN, and we're going to have full control over the configuration and can be set up on itself for relatively cheap or sometimes even free. Now, before we go out technical, it's important to understand why you need a VPN. How does it help you? How are you going to use it? And how does it work? So let's get started with a little bit of theory. So here I'm going to have a very oversimplified use cases to help you understand how it could be useful and how you could utilize it in your own systems and in your own home lab. So this is how generally a VPN service will work. We have a virtual private server here where the VPN service lives on, and then we have services such as websites, games, apps, and whatnot. And what happens is you connect to the VPN, and then through the VPN, your traffic is going to be routed to everywhere else. And this includes all your traffic. So you're going to be your DNS traffic, is going to be your browser traffic, is going to be your app traffic. So for example, if the VPN server is in the UK, all these services are going to think that you are from the UK because the VPN server is redirecting the traffic from its own IP address, and it's redirecting all the traffic. So it can fool some systems to think you are from a different place. Now, there are some use cases for this. For example, it can help increase your security a little bit, and it can help hide your location, and it can help unlock some region locked content. And that's fine, but there is way more beneficial uses for a VPN, especially a self-hosted VPN. In this video, we're going to be using OpenVPN, which is one of the most popular ones and one of the most compatible ones. And here is, for example, a use case for it. Let's say that here's two virtual private servers that you are renting out. Let's say you have your file system in here, you have some documents, important stuff, and let's say maybe you have a gaming server here. Now you can go ahead and connect to any of these and access your data, but if there is anyone in between, and if you're using unsecure connection, then your data could be compromised if you don't have encryption set up for every single server. So you're gonna have to go to every single server, set up its own encryption, and set up its own certificate, and set up its own domains, and then you're gonna have to make sure everything is configured correctly. With a VPN, it could make things much more easier. So for example, we can prevent access to this server and this server from anywhere in the world but this server right here. Instead of having to access these servers now and configure encryption for each, we can prevent these servers from being online, and we can make that the only way we can access them is through this server. And on this server, we can set up our own VPN. So now not only all our traffic back and forth is all encrypted, these two private servers right here also gonna benefit from this added security, because instead of having every single server open to the internet, you only need one server open to the internet, and through that server, you connect to the other servers. So you can harden the security as much as possible for that one front server, and then through that server, you can connect to the other servers securely. And of course, you can secure the connections between here and make sure it's all encrypted, but now it's like an added layer of security that if anybody needs to access your file server or, for example, your gaming server, they have to go through your VPN server. So you're adding another layer on top of security. And not to mention all the traffic between your computer and that proxy server is going to be all encrypted. And also, we only have to remember one domain name or one IP address. We only have to remember the IP address for this server, and then through this server, we can connect to the other ones. Now, another use case for this, if you have your own home lab and then you have your own home servers and you might have some files in there, or you have some stuff that you want to access but you don't want them to open them to the internet, well, there's two ways to do it, is that you can set up these devices to only communicate with your own self-hosted VPN. So if you're anywhere in the world, you can connect your own self-hosted VPN and access your own home lab. Another way we can do it, instead of having this in the cloud, we could move this to our home lab. And we can completely isolate these devices from the internet so they only communicate through our own VPN. And you can watch all the data going out, and you can limit how much data and what data is coming in and out, and you can encrypt it. And also, to access your own home devices now, you have to access your own VPN. Alright, so now that you understand how it works and now you understand the use cases and how it can help you, now let's start with a tutorial. Let's start with the technicals. So there is 3 ways to host your own VPN. You can host it locally on your own network, and that doesn't cost you anything if you have the device for it. You can host it in the cloud, and that could cost you a few bucks a month. Or you could have a friend host it for you. If you have a friend in a different region and you want to have access to that region internet, or you want to obfuscate your location to that region, you can have any person host it for you, and then you can access internet from that location. And what server you pick, it depends on what you need. Today I'm going to be going with the cloud route because it is the simplest and fastest to set up. So I'm going to pick up Linode because I already have an account with them, and I'm going to set up a virtual private server. For image, I'm going to go with Debian 11. For region, you can choose whatever region you want your traffic to come out from. So if you want to use the VPN to change your location, or if you want to use the VPN to access servers that you have in a different region, make sure to select the region that's most beneficial to you. So I'm going to go with Toronto, Canada. I'm going to go with the shared CPU with the cheapest configuration because you don't really need a whole lot of performance. Give it a name. I'm going to name it Open VPN. Give it a root password. If you have any SSH keys, just plunge them in there. Click Create. All right, now that our VPS is up and running, we can connect to it. All right, so I'm going to type in SSH root at my VPS address. I'm going to say yes to the fingerprint, password. Now we're in. First thing first, as always, we need to update the system. Do that apt update, so do apt upgrade, and yes to everything. All right, so after we update it, the first thing we're going to do, as always, is make a new user. So user, add, lowercase n, capital letter G, sudo group. I'm going to name the user Bill, and I'm going to give him the bash shell. Let's enter, and then we're going to give this user a password. Once the user is created, we're going to log in to that user. Now that we are in, we can start installing. All right, now there is many different VPN software that you can use for self-hosting, but I'm going to go with OpenVPN, and the reason is because it's the most compatible. You can use it on your Windows machine, Linux machine, your Mac, and your phone. Now there's two ways to install it. You can do it completely manually and configure the installation process yourself. And I recommend this if you want to have control over every single setting and make sure everything's set the way you want. But because I want to keep this video short and simple, we're going to use a script. Now here's a script written by the user Nur, N-Y-R, and you can read through it to make sure that there is nothing sketchy going on, but it should be pretty safe. I'm going to have the link in the description. Go to the script, click raw, and copy the link. All right, so after you copied the script, we're going to download it. So double get and put in the script link, press enter. After it's downloaded, we can just run it. So I'm going to sudo bash open VPN install sh. First, root password. And it's going to ask you a simple question. The first question is going to ask you which one is your public IP address. And this IP address should match your cloud server public IP address. So the same address that you use to SSH. So select that. It's going to ask you which protocol, UDP is fine. Which port you want to use. The default port is fine in most cases, unless it's blocked by your ISP, or unless you want to hide the fact that you're using OpenVPN. Now for the DNS resolver, I'm going to use this current system resolvers. And the reason is if I want to change the DNS resolver in the future, I only need to change the system DNS resolver. I don't have to do it through OpenVPN. Name for the first client, this could be anything. I'm just going to name it client. And it's going to tell you OpenVPN installation is ready to begin. Press any key to continue. Press enter. And it's up and running. So it gave us a file, rocket/root/client. This is the file that you want to download to use to connect to your own VPN. But because this is placed in root, we're going to need sudo privileges to move this file out. So I'm going to sudo mv client open VPN. I'm going to move it to the home directory. Now if I type ls, we see the script that we just downloaded. We don't need that anymore, so I can do rm. And if I tap ls again, we have the client file. This is the file we're going to use to log into our VPN. So we need to download that. Now there is many different ways to download that. I'm going to show you two ways. One of them is for Linux and one of them is for Windows. So on Linux, we're going to use SCP, and this is going to make sure that your download is secure and encrypted. All right, so type in SCP, type in the name of the user that you just created and the IP address of your virtual private server, and then colon, and then the location of the file that you want to download. So this is going to be home, and the file name is going to be client.ovpn. Then space and the location where you want the file to go. So I'm just going to throw this file in my downloads folder and press enter. I'm going to ask you for the password. Put that in and download completed. So now if I go to my downloads, I have the file there. And to run it, you need to have OpenVPN installed on your Linux machine. If you're running a Debian-based system, you can just go apt install OpenVPN. If you're running an Arch-based system, you can go with the pacman/S OpenVPN. Install it. Yes. It's nice and installed. So now to use our own VPN, type in OpenVPN -config and then the config file that you just downloaded. So mine is going to be in downloads, client, OpenVPN, press enter, and it needs root. So I'm going to run this again with root privileges. Nice, it's up and running. So now, if I go online and type in what's my IP, it's going to show the IP address of the cloud server. And if you want to check your location, and it says IP location is from Canada. So everything's working and everything is set up correctly. Now I'm going to show you how to do it on Windows. Now on Windows you can use something like FileZilla to download the configuration file. And then also on Windows you're going to need Open VPN client. Go to downloads and select the Windows installer. Open FileZilla. After you're done installing FileZilla, start installing Open VPN. To get the configuration file from your cloud server, open FileZilla. Go to File, Site Manager, New Site. Use the SFTP protocol. That's important to make sure that data transfer is encrypted. Don't use FTP. Put in the IP address of your cloud server. The port is going to be 22. The user is going to be the user you just created. So for me, it's going to be Bill. Put in your password for that user. Click connect. And you can choose whether you want to save the passwords. And it's going to ask you, do you want to fingerprint the server? Say yes. So you can drag and drop it to the desktop. Now that you got the file downloaded, you can just double click it. And it's going to ask you, do you want to import the configuration? Say yes. And it says file imported successfully. Go to the icon tray, go to the Open VPN icon, right click, connect. Perfect, client is now connected. So now if we go online, go to Google, type in what's my IP address, and it's gonna give you the same IP address as your cloud server. So we have a fully secured VPN connection for both Windows machine and Linux machine. If I do a speed test, we're gonna hit 100 megabits of download, but that will depend a lot on the server you're choosing and the plan you're choosing. You can keep this file if saved and you can use it on any of your devices. So you can use it on your phone, for example, or you can use it on your router. Some routers allow you to install OpenVPN, so that's pretty nice. Now, if you want to use this VPN on your phone, there is an app for it. You can look it up and you can give the same configuration file to that app on your phone. Alright, so now you know how to quickly set up and configure a VPN server and clients. This should at least get you up and running, and you should take it from here now. You may want to enhance the security, set up SSH keys, firewalls, traffic analysis tools, and also configure logs and auto updates. But I don't want to do all this in one video, otherwise it'll be an hour-long video, so I may make other separate videos on each one of these topics. I may also make a future video where I set up and install a VPN server to access other servers securely, so be sure to subscribe if you want to see more self-hosting projects. That's about it for this video. Hopefully you learned a thing or two watching. I'm going to peace out, and I hope you have a wonderful day. See ya.